Hi guys, welcome to the live over on YouTube. I'm hoping that people are going to get in and log in. I know it's not as easy as Facebook, but it does a better job over here. So, Mantrailing Q&A. So I want to jump on and do this live, answer some questions from some really cool mantrailing handlers that have been in touch, and kind of talk about what is mantrailing. Because my page is generally dedicated to mantrailing, I tend to talk in a way that I think most people understand what mantrailing is, but not everybody does. Not everybody has been mantrailing. Some people have come via tracking backgrounds, people come from different backgrounds. So I'll quickly gloss over what mantrailing is and then answer a few questions. If you have any specific mantrailing questions, please do just pop them in the chat. Just ask a question. That's what it's here. This is why I'm doing this Q&A. And hopefully we can have a really good conversation about mantrailing. Preface this with all that my background is sports mantrailing. That's what I've been doing the last almost 5 years in June. 5 years I've been qualified, or certified, whatever you want to call it. But my background prior to that is as a canine behaviourist, as an operational security dog handler and trainer. I used to train the dogs and the handlers. I did for quite a few years. And I used to work as a behaviourist specialising in aggression. So I'm not a newbie to mantrailing. I'm not a newbie to dog training. I've had dogs and dog training for over 10 years. So anywho, what is mantrailing? Mantrailing in the way that we do it as a sport is teaching dogs to find people for fun. It is people that are hidden as opposed to missing. And this is a sport where dogs get 100% of success. So they always get into the trail. They always find the people. And they can do it in any way that they find easy as possible. The goal of the game is to find the person by all means necessary. Now, this can be quite frustrating for handlers when their dog cuts corners, uses a lot of air scent, doesn't use ground scent very well, likes to pull them through bushes because the trail layers just the other side of that bush on that road. So when we're doing mantrailing, we are teaching dogs to find people using their nose, but they will often use their eyes. They'll use law of averages and they will guess. So it just creates a lot of frustration for our handlers, creates a lot of frustration for the teams, and a lot of frustration for everybody involved, to be honest. So it can be a little bit annoying for some people, but it is one of those things. So that's what we explain to dogs. So mantrailing has been around as a sport for probably 8 years now in the UK, and it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. The problem is it's grown very, very quickly, and the knowledge base we had in the UK was quite poor for quite a while. There was lots of really cool operational people out there that were doing really cool stuff, but what we do as a sports trainer isn't always the same, and we can't apply the same weight of kind of pressure, which means the dogs meant that us instructors didn't have always the knowledge base we wanted. So I have spent a lot of time, a lot of money going out there and learning with everybody I can get my hands on in the UK, America, Europe, everybody that will come here and come for a session with me, learning to host them, all sorts cross country. So yeah, there's lots of knowledge now coming into the UK, and there's lots of ways to skin a cat. So I'm going to go for the questions I was given and sent to me, but I'm going to offer maybe a couple of options, different things. There's no one size fits all in mantrailing, just like dog training. There is no one size fits all. It's all about the dog in front of you, the team in front of you, and actually the situation you find yourself in at that point in time. Because sometimes you shit hits a fan, that's the end of it. Like, there's not a lot you can do about it. It just happens. But mantrailing is supposed to be fun. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make it X, Y, and Z, when actually it's supposed to be about the dogs having fun and about everybody coming away with a big smile on their face, not going, oh, my dog didn't do this, my dog didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. My dog didn't. Yeah, but your dog isn't a Jack Russell, and that Russell trails that way. Your dog is a mad spaniel, so it's got to trail in a different way. So there can be a lot of negativity surrounding mantrailing, and I've been there. I've absolutely been there with my dogs, but I think with a bit of knowledge, can change that. So I'm going to load up these questions and check that it's actually showing comments on YouTube, because no comments have popped up my way yet. So just hoping it is popping comments up. Super. So if anyone has any questions, just pop them up in the chat, then I can grab them as we go. But I'm going to grab the questions. So how does the dog learn to follow scent of human scent over the scent of a rabbit? I've got a high drive working Labrador that thinks bunnies are amazing. How do I get that dog to focus on the trail layer as opposed to the rabbit. It's a really good one. How do you get the dog to focus on that? So what we're doing is teaching dogs to find our person's scent, so that specific person's scent, and we create value in finding that person. Now, the way we create value in finding that specific person is by that person having the rewards, in most cases, not in all cases. So by that person having the reward, the dog learns that it's worth finding that person following a nose. Now, lots of different methods to starting the dog mantrailing. Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it's just very short trails, sometimes it's create relationships with dogs, using food on the ground. Like, there's loads and loads of ways to do it. But what we are doing is create a relationship with the dog and the trail layer, the misper, the hider, the idiot in the bush that's going to feed the dog. That might be somebody known to dogs, it might be somebody the dog's never met in their life, it might be a family member, it doesn't matter. We're creating a relationship between the two. So how do we get those dogs to focus on the person over a bunny? We build basically more focus in the person and more reliability of reward than they are a bunny. If your dog hasn't caught many rabbits, over time they're going to focus more on a person. Yes, they're going to want to chase the bunnies. They're not stupid. That's genetics. But we can build desire to find a person in the same way there is desire to find a bunny. We're tapping into those intrinsic, that intrinsic need to hunt by doing mantrailing. Was that hunt, prey, kill, devour part of the predator sequence? We just don't do the kill bit. But we still do the eye stalk. We do the chase. We build all those different things in. So dog gets to the end and goes, yes, you're my prey. I want to devour you. Here. Instead of devouring the person, here's a pot full of cheese. Like, so it's building that in, and that's how we over time can build a dog that focuses more on a person as a bunnies, and also setting the trails up in the right location. I really advise somebody with a dog is bunny mad, or any small furry or feathery thing mad, to trail into some urban trails before you start like rocking up in the middle of woodlands, especially this time of year when the birds and the bunnies are particularly active during the day, and there's just hundreds of little buggers minding their own business, doing their thing. We rock up at their woodlands and they're like, hey, get lost. So yeah, it's definitely worth being sensible about where you trail. But remember, the dogs are finding a cocktail of human bacteria. They're finding this quite changeable scent. Bacteria is very changeable. The environment is very changeable per person. So the dog's having a good hard time of it. Sometimes they will switch to wildlife because it's easier to find a bunny. It's more predictable to find a bunny. Bunnies tend to smell very similar than people who can smell very, very different. But yeah, keep cracking on it. It'll be really, really good fun with your Labrador. Super. Just grab a quick swig. Coffee. What's a scent inventory? So someone asked me this, like, what is a scent inventory? People that have used the Cocker method, the Mantrailing Global method, specifically the ones that I've used both those, and I've got a bit more knowledge in those. The other methods that and different ideas in the UK I haven't had as much experience with, so I'm not going to comment on them. But the Cocker method, kind of the foundations of the kind of Mantrailing Global method at the time, that has shifted a bit now, I'm aware. But it's about giving dogs opportunity to check out the environment. So a scent inventory is a large walk around, ideally roughly circular, but you're taking in the whole area of where the trail layer may have gone. So ideally it's around the scent article or the trail layer. If you're doing like starts with the person still there, the dog get a lot of visual on the person. Excuse me. That's what happens when you have a can of Coke before you're live. You're getting a lot of sensing the environment. So the scent inventory has allowed the dog's opportunity to check out the environment. It's not always circular. We tend to say like a circle, but it's not. It's a rough circular walk around the scent article, giving the dog the opportunity to check all of the exit points. It's not a jolly. So yes, the dog can have a pee and check stuff out. It can check people, that's fine. But it's not there for the dogs to have a mooch about. It's part of the ritual building up the idea that we're like, hey, we're mantrailing, don't be doing anything else. But what it is, give dogs opportunity to find the exit trail. You should be watching your dog on a scent inventory, not just walking a circle. You should be watching your dog and allowing them to check all the exit points. If there's nobody, if the trail layer is already gone, which is what really, if the person's there, it's not as helpful, just get into habit. But the person's gone, it's just a scent article on the ground. You're doing this inventory around them. You're allowing the dog time to check the inventory, check out all the scents in the environment, take all those scents in and go, nope, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. And then head off and find the right trail. You should be watching that dog. That dog, if you are using scent inventory, if that dog clocks where the trail is, you'll tend to see them pull into it. You tend to see them work towards it. And that's when you know which way the trail's going. You need to start watching the dog when you put the harness and line on, see where they're going. 90% of dogs will then hit the trail in that direction they showed interest in. Some dogs will go in the opposite direction because they want to avoid the trail in order to stay out longer. It's not a tiddly little fucking circle around a person like it has been previously. It's one of the ways I was taught. It's a big check out of the area, and you're better off not doing it if you're not going to do it right. Like if I had a space with a lot of people in it, I want that dog to have the opportunity to go around and check everything. It's an opportunity for those dogs to work stuff out. It takes a lot of brain power for dogs to do mantrailing. It takes a lot of brain power for them to process scent. So give them time and give them time to check out the options. It's like, if you go drive somewhere for the first time, you might go look on Google Maps, see where it is. You might ask somebody, hey, I've not driven here before. What's the best way to get in? And they might go, oh, why don't you try this and this? And you might even look on Google Street View. You might take in as much information as possible to make sure when you get there that you have as much success as possible in finding that car parking spot. If you don't allow your dog time to do that, they're going to hit a direction and you can follow Google Maps fine. Like you say, we can follow Google Maps, we can get there and go, shit, I've come the wrong side of the bollards, I can't get in. Oh, bollocks, I've taken the wrong turn, I've got on the wrong motorway and now I'm going to try motorway back. If you spent 5 minutes looking at the map or 5 minutes checking out Google Maps, you might have not avoided that problem. And by doing a scent inventory, we can help our dogs avoid that problem a little bit. It's not going to be be all and end all. It's not going to make everything perfect, but it is a really great way to help the dogs check out all the other options and then hit the trail. So scent inventory is essentially an opportunity for your dog to check all the other scents in the environment and make a decision on which scent to follow from the scent article. You would be completely stupid if you thought your dog wasn't taking scent off the scent article when you're doing the scent inventory. They know what that scent is. They aim towards it, have a good sniff as they're working. You don't need to physically touch it. They can sniff from a distance because dogs, believe it or not, are incredibly efficient with their nose and really good at what they do. They can take scent at a distance. They're not stupid. So they will be starting to match that scent article to the exit trails. It's really helpful for a lot of dogs. But other dogs find it really frustrating. Some dogs just are like, no, I know the trail is, so stop being stupid. I don't need you to tell me everything is. I know what I'm doing. Like some people, you can give them directions. You go, hey, I really would advise that you take the 41, not 52. And the people are like, I will do whatever Google Maps says. Sod off. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Everybody works different. All dogs work different. I have some dogs I do scent inventory with. I have some dogs I don't do scent inventory with. It's really dependent on the dog. Super. Always look at what works for you and your dog. There's no one size fits all, remember. So next question was, what do I do if my dog is constantly eating grass on the trail? So grass eating is a bit of a funny one. Grass eating can be many different things. It can be displacement behaviour, so dogs eating grass in order for you to communicate that it's uncomfortable. Sorry, yawning. I've had a whole coffee and I'm yawning. I do apologise. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. So they can eat grass displacement because they don't know what's happening. They don't know what the trail is. And sometimes when you move them on, when you push them on and you're like, come on, stop eating grass, let's move. You'll get onto the direction of the trail. You push them onto it 90% of the time. And the dogs learn if I muck about, you will push me onto the trail. So they will do it in order to get you to help them. I've seen that a few times. Sometimes it's displacement because they're stressed. They don't know where the trail is. So they're just trying to have a moment, when you're like, oh God, I can't cope with this. Right, I get a McDonald's. I get a coffee. I'm done. I had that yesterday morning and I went to the really nice croissant shop in Oswald Street and just bought 2 of the really nice croissants. I was like, can't do this morning. I'm done. I just ate my body weight in croissants yesterday before I had mantrailing. So it's that kind of, often it's a displacement behaviours. It's that I don't know what I'm doing, help, or just give me time. Yes, I think you sometimes should move the dog on, but it's really dependent on context. If the dog's consistently doing it, could be a problem. Also digestion. So dogs will eat grass if they're feeling sick. Now, sometimes a little bit of stress mantrailing can cause them to feel a little bit sick. And maybe addressing that is like ginger actually makes dogs feel less sick. So if you give a dog a ginger biscuit before it trails, it might not feel so sick when it's making decisions. So, and the other option is with dietary thing is it's a dietary thing. So along the way that dog's not getting the right nutrients. That's a really hard one. I tend to give dogs if they're peeing on the trail or if they're eating grass or they're mooching around. I give them time to process and take each dog individually. So some dogs might give it a bit longer. I might give them maybe 30 seconds to work stuff out and then come into it. There's other dogs that I would move on quite quickly because I know that they're just mucking about, and that's not mucking about in a bad way. Mucking about in like a, oh, I'm gonna do this and la 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 la, and they're losing priority for the game in front of them. But we need to look at motivation at that point. So, do we need to take a little step back and look at foundations? It's not a step back and like my dog doesn't know anything. My dog's eating grass, therefore I've got to do shit tons of hunting trails. No, that's not what it is. Hunting trails are short intensity wind-ups, like lots of excitement trails. It's looking at like, hey, why is my dog eating grass? Is it eating grass because it doesn't know? Maybe in this rural environment where there's so many different things going on, I do some slightly easier trails. Known trails to me, so trails where I know where everything is, so I can help that dog work and process stuff. There is also some like anecdotal evidence that dogs can taste scent. Or like when we're doing Mantrailing, like then we know they can taste scent, but they can sense it off grass and stuff. So it could potentially that they're taking scent in off the grass. I don't know. I've seen it, the dogs do puddles, don't know about grass. But yeah, you can move them on. If you're going to move them on, I give a count of 3 and then I step forwards past the dogs. Or I step back or I call the dog off it. Try not to yank and fucking flick the lead on the dog. That's not what we do. We don't want to add a negative when the dog's trying to do something. We want to add in like let's get moving. Passive help, like where people are like, oh, I'm gonna walk backwards on the trail and get the lead onto the trail, isn't passive. It's not very passive at all. It's quite confrontational because you turn your dog and then you're dragging them off. Try to avoid doing stuff like that because you're giving quite a lot of hint there. You're like, it's this way. You still want the dog to lead. So what I would ideally look like is dog comes in, starts to sniff, 1, 2, 3, and then moving on, and keep them moving. If you've got a dog that's a seer or like grabbing grass and stuff like that, or it's actually the same premise if you've got a dog that pisses everywhere on trail as well, if they're peeing a lot, is as they're coming to do it, don't stop. Don't stop as acceptance that what they're doing is okay. Because like when they walk, if you just stop and let them sniff, they're like, okay, you stopped today, so I can sniff this thing. If you don't stop, they're like, oh, I can't sniff this thing, we gotta keep moving. So quite often on the trail, if we stop dead, and then we like count to 3, the dog goes, oh, I'm allowed to do this until I hit 3. Okay, right, okay, so I'm allowed to do this. If we want them to not be able to do it and interrupt it, don't let them sniff in the first place, or don't let them pee in the first place, and don't let them eat stuff in the first place. So literally, dog comes in, starts to eat grass, you're still moving past them, 1, 2, 3, work on, and get that dog moving, don't keep stopping. Jason's put the move on when eating grass and approach to repeating scent marking. Will we move on before or after using the praise, like crack on? Yeah. So I add in a work on, guys, or trail on. It's that on bit they're listening to anyway. And I don't tend to stop so much now. And working with clients, we don't can stop and go, oh, okay, they were there peeing. Oh, now work on, because we're accepting that the behaviour is acceptable. It's not always appropriate. The dogs are allowed to pee, guys. Like, don't trust them if they want to pee, but we want them to focus on the task, and they're perfectly capable of holding it. So if the dog will come up to the scent, dog comes in, I'm coming from behind the dog, work on. And I'm trying not to break stride, not launching past them, but I am moving. But yeah, it works for peeing on the trail. It works for duck eating in grass on the trail, focusing on something else on the trail. I want to press this. I don't mind dogs eating grass on the trail. Like, there's usually reason for it, but if it's like consistently, then it could be bigger problems. If you've got a dog that's consistently peeing, like I had one dog that was peeing, he counted 20 times on one trail. The trail wasn't long, just like 200 meters. Like, it's not a long trail. So, and he's just a boy, so we've changed up how he works, and we're really quick to get in with him. Now, if he stops and pees immediately, I don't mind. He can pee and then carry on. It's when he's like doing all boy stuff. On the way back, he's allowed to check everything else. We don't stop him being a dog. That's not what it's about. What it's about saying is, hey, can you do this thing first? On the way back, you can take 20 minutes to go back to the car. And I leave the handle normally, let them just mooch around sniffing, and then I go back at the next dog. That dog has time, plenty of time to come back and mooch around and do boy stuff. Not stopping them doing that. I don't want to stop your dogs doing what they should be doing. But what I want to do stop is mucking around too much, which is what we're trying to avoid. Super. Someone put, how do I get better at line handling? That's practice makes perfect. Line handling is an art. It's a complete art, and it takes time. Learn to reel in and out one way or another. So you'll find a way that suits you. Don't go with what you're normally like handed. So I'm right-handed, but I always, so I wouldn't have the front of my line in my right hand. I'd have the front of my line in my left hand. So whichever hand's on the line, I call the lead hand, and then any hand that's holding the line is called the anchor hand. It's anchoring your dog back. This is what you stop go. This is your extra, the emergency brake. I'm right-handed, but I don't have the line in my right hand. I don't think it's inverted on this, because I find that I too cumbersome. I prefer the anchor in my right hand, and then my left hand as my lead hand with stop go. Now, when I first started dog training, I did all the Barbara Woodhouse type stuff, and evolved from there. But it was always with dog on the left hand side. So I think some of that. It's practice makes perfect. Get it into muscle memory. There's absolutely no point only practicing your line handling when you're mantrailing. Like only when you've got the dog on in the lead and you're cocking up. It's boring and it's silly. But like anything, it has to become muscle memory. How many of you know exactly where your indicators, your lights are on your car? You don't have to look at them. You don't have to do anything. You just flick it. And when you get another car, you're like, oh, Jesus, the world's ending. I don't know where fucking anything is. You know where it is because you become muscle memory. You know where you normally keep your slippers. You know how high your steps are. You know all of these lots of things in your life automatically because it becomes muscle memory. Teach it with your long line. Stop just expecting it to magic happen overnight. Teach muscle memory, whichever way you like to hold your hand. It doesn't really matter. However you pull your line in, it's not the end of the world. Just don't crack your dog every time you do it, and don't let it swizz everywhere. I need to do some videos on line handling, but it's really hard to film it and explain what's happening because it's all muscle. It's all just very individual. Practice it. Create its muscle memory. If you're bored at mantrailing and you're not doing anything, get your line out. So excuse me, I'm struggling with not coughing right now. Get your line out, type something, and reel it in and out. Yes, it's boring. All that kind of stuff is boring. But if you can practice it quickly and efficiently without judding the line, you'll be a lot better hand than you want hinder your dogs. But it's practice makes permanence as well as practice makes perfect. Just practice. I know people that have lunged horses. I know people that have reactive dogs that have dogs on long lines because they are really good line handlers. People that have not used long lines and haven't needed to, fair enough, struggle because mantrailing dogs very fast, very quick, and you're just holding on for grim death. And my advice is also get a long line that works for you. So I've scoured a long time to get the ones I like. I've loved my long line. It's 6-7 years old. And when the last stopped making them, I now make long lines because I wanted to make some for myself because I couldn't find any I liked. I like mine because it moves my hand really nicely. That's just what I like. I have loads of people that love mine. So mine are poly rubber gripped, and they've got a really nice edge on them. There's a line around here somewhere. I'll show you a sample. It's cold in my office. I've got a blanket. So they're rubber grip in the middle, and then these ridges are higher than the rubber grip. You can't really see on that. So they're higher than the rubber grip, so my hands don't get caught on them. I love it. I have loads of people that work with me that love the biothane because it's really smooth on their hands. They can move it in and out. Absolutely love it. Perfect for them. And then other people that have leather lines. Amazing. You've got to work with what you like and practice it. That's might be saying to somebody, hey, can I borrow your long line and do it? If you've got a really fast dog and it gets tangled a lot and you find your line tangled on things, or you're finding yourself tangled up quite a bit, really have a look at how much you're giving out quite quickly. So when we've got loops, we tend to give a whole loop out, and if our loops are quite big, it's a good half a meter, sometimes maybe more. So if you're giving a good half a meter out every time and that dog's shooting forward, you're losing quite a bit of lines on 10 meter line. If you made your loops a bit smaller and you smaller amounts of line at a time, you might find it easier and finding it less tangled. And also teaching your dog to work with you on a shorter line, teaching your dog to work with you on a line that works for both of you is important. You can definitely have a little tweak with length of line on things. 10 meters is kind of the standard that we've always used, but an 8 meter line is not a problem. Even a 3 meter line, as long as you can allow the dog to work and you don't hinder them, work with the kind of distance that you feel quite comfortable with. There's no one size fits all with it. But yeah, I'm sorry, there's no like magical top tip for better line handling. It's practice makes permanence. Make it a muscle memory, same as using indicators in the car. Super. Hi, Kathryn, you talk a lot. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I do. But when you trail your own dog, do you also communicate with your dog verbally, or do you leave it in its bubble? So I only reward my dog when I'm working, and I only speak to them if I'm 100% sure they're on the trail. I know it's a blue line trail, so I've been told with the trailers that they're on it. I don't tend to get involved because my dog, I do a lot of training dogs on focusing on me because I've got I previously had a lot of reactive dogs, and I've got too many dogs. And I've got springers that want to work independently for me, so I build a lot of focus in them outside of Mantrailing. And yeah, I don't speak to them. I only just a good dog when I know they hit it. Because otherwise they just start relying on you and looking at you, and you get in their way. So I talk a lot online. I talk a lot. And when I'm doing commentaries, when I'm training behind you, I talk a lot. I give a lot of feedback. When I'm working with a dog, I'm deathly silent because words mean very little to dogs. They're just sounds that sometimes mean food. Body language means a lot. And actually, when you're Mantrailing, it's like you just let them work. It's like this poetry emotion. They don't need you. You're just a big idiot anchor on the end of them, slowing them down more than anything. So yeah, I don't say a lot to them. I let them work. And I love that analogy, like leave them in their bubble. Yeah, they're working. They don't need me. Have you ever been focused on I suppose a lot of people these days focus on your phone, and you really focused in on it and you don't hear anything. The background's gone. And then somebody's like tapping your shoulder, like, hey, did you hear me? I've asked you 3 times about that now. And you're like, what? Quite often, I think when the dogs are working, they're so focused in on that task, not actually listening to us. And I've seen quite a few handlers like reward their dogs, like, good dog. And I'm like, that's the wrong trail. Why have you given the dog a reward? Well, they're working really well. I was like, I don't know what they're following. I'm not on the trail. We left the trail 30 meters back. I haven't said anything because they're waiting for a negative, waiting for the dogs to work. So, and I'm like, they're like, oh, but they're doing really well. I was like, I'm not following the trail. Like, we're nowhere near the trail and the wind's the wrong direction. So this isn't blown scent. So yeah, I try not to reward them personally. I know some handlers that do, and some that need to do that for their dogs. Their dogs need the yeah, you're good, you're so good. God, come on, work on, you're so good. And like little encouragements. Hey, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, definitely, because it's so individual for each dog. It's really good. Dogs absolutely love it. Just chuck questions in the chat, guys, if you've got any. I know there's only a few of you on, but if you have got any questions, just pop them in the chat. Super. Oh, I'm glad that's answered something. Yeah, feel free to ask some questions. I'm going to just check the question list now. My dog loves people and loves to jump at the trail layer. Can I fix this? Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with a jump up at the trail layer. It's just not always appropriate when it's the wrong person by accident, which I've had a few times. And not everybody likes to get thrown in a bush by a large old-time English bulldog or something. Yeah. Can I stop my dog? Should my dog jump the trail layer? Can I stop them jump the trail layer? Ideally, I want to quit that a little bit because it's not ideal, it's not safe, and not everybody enjoys it. And if you are working in public, if your dog has a tendency when it's excited, when it thinks the trail layer going to jump, it could be a dangerous situation, or it could be also a large complaint lawsuit situation. So I'm not going to stop the dog doing natural behaviour, but I am going to teach what I want really at the end. And you can teach the indication away from Mantrailing and teach it alongside Mantrailing. So I'll answer your second question in a second, Lola. So building an indication at the end of the trail, super easy. You've got a reward in people's hands. Just lure what you want. So the dog comes in, they see the pots, they're like, oh my god, I want the pots. Confident trail layer, lift the pots up. 90% of dogs' bums will sit down and feed the dog. I practice this at home though, so when I've got a dog, I will teach them. And if I want an indication, when I've got the food pots as a visual, or the toy, when you see it, you sit until you're released. When you see the food pot, you sit, and I'm going to feed you. I do put a release cue in, that's personal. when you see the pots, you can have it. So we build that in at home when they're visual pots. Then we build in with the trail layers, that they see the visual pots and trail layers, they sit, they get fed, and then we take the food out of sight. When you take the food out of sight, the dogs still sit because they know that the trail layer always has food pots. Now, you do not always have food pots, but the trail layer does. Now, whether you use a toy, food pots, squeezy cheese, whatever your reward is, because in mantrailing it's usually the same thing. It's usually a pot full of food. It's usually squeezy cheese. You tend to be quite consistent, even if it's food and then a toy. The dogs will learn the context really, really quickly. That person's a bush. I'd need to sit or stand or bark or whatever your behaviour is. Doesn't matter. Just pick a consistent behaviour. Sit is the easiest, but it's not a mandatory indication. Because I have some dogs I work with, a lovely Kelpie down south that I work with, they barked. It's a Kelpie. Of course it's going to bloody bark. It wants to bark. Okay. Not every trail layer will hide for it. That's okay. I have some dogs that don't. I have some dogs that freeze. A lovely boxer worked up by, she's in Cumbria. She just freezes. Oh, sorry, he freezes. Hannah's a female. He freezes and he goes, "It's you, feed me." And it's very clear because he stares them into their soul and goes, "Feed me. I want my food." So, and he has pate. It's really cute. So yeah, build in an indication to stop the jumping of trail layers, and try not to get involved yourself as a handler, and try not to like pull the line back and create frustration, because you'll just get like a real ping. We've all done it at doors when someone's at the door and like someone's got the dog like this by their collar going, "Yeah, I don't want that parcel, just put it by the door." The dog's going ballistic because you're holding it back. Careful. So search dog Lola has put thoughts on indicating when they find the initial scent at the start of the trail, indicating when they find the misbar. Are you talking about when they are offered the scent, I'll take scent, they'll then go, "Hey, the trail's here," you get the gear and off you go? When you put search dog Lola, I assume you've got an operational background. It's that kind of, the dog goes, "Yes, there is a trail. Okay, now let's follow the trail." Just double check with me. Just explain that one if that's definitely what you're on about. Yeah, super. So I've only seen it a couple of times because it's something that I've only seen operational teams in the UK. I've never taught it. I find it a bit of a hindrance personally, because I think you're adding in a step for the dogs that isn't necessary. If we've got a dog that's been taught really well and they go sniff and they go, "Well, there's no trail here," they'll tell you really quickly if there's a trail there. And I also want my dogs to be really able to cast an area. So if the dog takes scent and I'm not sure if there's a trail, I want them to go, "I check everything. Right, I'm going to go check over here and come back and look at me and go, 'Yeah, there's no fucking scent here, Mum. Like, I'm not going.'" But I've also seen dogs that do it, like they sniff, they go, "Yeah, there's definitely a trail here. I've done a quick check. Super. Now let's go." That are like bark, like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go." But that step is for us as humans, and that kind of like big step for the dog to have to go, "Oh, look, there's something here. I need to indicate to you something here. And now we've got to do another action." You're adding in a step that might not suit every dog or might not need to be there. But again, that's my personal choice. I know that comes from training in some of the operational teams in America, Europe, and the UK. There's loads of people that do it. And some dogs suit. I think other dogs, it just creates frustration. Like, I know my Springer captain, if anyone's ever seen him trail, if I added that stop in where he had to tell me there was a trail, he would lose his mind and then just run like hellish chicken, because his frustration levels are really high all the time, because I built that into him and built it in a bit too much. But then I've done trails where there's nothing there. He's taken scent and gone, "There's nothing here." Now, the trails I'm working are not 16, 17-hour age trails where somebody's missing. So I don't have that experience of that really needing a yes that to something on the trail. So yeah, I think it's really good for some dogs. I think other dogs, it will probably hinder them. I think it really comes down to dog and handler team. But adding that in is not something I've ever taught, and something I probably ever would teach. But I am working through a tracking trailing course at the moment with Ilka Miller, and that potentially might be an element of it, because we do scent to match. So I think at some point we're going to have that, like, here's a scent that no match. What are you going to do for me, dog? So it's quite interesting. I don't know if you want to add some more detail into that. Search dog Lola. If you add any more, Lola, I'll answer a bit more. Rose has put, "How would you know when to remove a scent inventory?" So I would scent inventory with Captain quite early on with him, because he got really frustrated by it. He'd go half under circle, hit the trail and go, "Why aren't we going? Why aren't we going? Why aren't we going? Why aren't we going?" And then when I tried to get my harness on, twice he slipped me. slipped out of his harness and dashed dead towards the trail. Luckily, he's got extra recall, so we got about 20 meters and recalled. But he was like, "Come on, the trail's over there." So it'd be so stupid. So now we come in, we sniff, we go. We don't need to do it with him. I don't do it with Jin, my youngest Springer, because she doesn't need it. And even when I've done like casting starts with them, or I've done starts where the trail is not directly attached to the scent article, the dogs have just got to the trail. They're so good. They've searched ahead, found it, and they've had no problem with it. So if there's frustration involved, I tend to take it out. If the dog is acknowledging the trail and going around and going, that's the trail, coming to the scent article, and then looking over like, well, I told you once, you're not fucking listening, so who cares? I'm not doing it. They've sniffed the scent article going on the opposite direction. So they've gone, well, you wouldn't let me go that way, so I'm going the other way. You can see it because you can see them clock it. They come to the scent article and then they go, well, clearly it wasn't that way because you didn't want me to go that way. And they just go in the opposite direction. You're like, why are they going the wrong opposite direction? Because you haven't listened. So that would be sometimes I might take the scent inventory out. Or if the dog's just not using it, like the dog's doing a circle, it's looking bored as hell and it's not working. It might potentially be for that dog to take it out. I have had one dog that found it extremely frustrating to go in a circle, just wanted to get going trailing, and redirected onto her own immediately. Like we got half in a circle and this dog just jumped up and bit the owner of the arm. And I was like, no, let's just go mantrailing now. Like, let's go. And we've never done the scent inventory since, because I know you'd look at a dog's personality, look at his individual, look at the way he works, his frustration levels. If we try and delay getting started by doing an inventory, he will get pissed off and he will turn around and bite his owner every time. He's like, the trail has gone that way, whether you've seen the trail there or not. He knows where it is. He does not need to do a circle. I think it's really important, though, with dogs that are working age trails, large open areas, or lots of contamination. So like a massive car park with like a 2-hour age trail, you will need a big inventory for lots of dogs. But it's difficult. Search Dog Lola's replied, it interrupts the flow of the dog and tell from the body language that they're on the trail. However, they're being asked to do it for assessment. Yeah, so this is the funny thing I've had with some of the operational teams that have messaged me, and we just liaise. I never train with them. I always like look at videos and just go, oh, okay, why did you do that? Why did you do this? Would it make sense to move this, move that? But because you have to tick boxes and show certain things, it can interrupt stuff. And remember, a lot of assessments are written by people with certain types of dogs or like specific dogs, and it's all right if you've got a thick as fuck bloodhound that needs to go. You need to go like, are you on the trail? Is there a trail? The bloodhound goes, yeah, there's a trail. I'm really very stereotypical of bloodhounds there, but you know what I mean. But if you've got a spaniel or like a high drive pointer or something, I can't see what breed Search Dog Lola is. But it's like some dogs need it and some dogs don't, and this is where I'm having real conflicts in my life and have real trouble in the last couple of years because Spaniel, yeah. So Spaniel, Search Dog Lola Spaniel's pissed off because they want to get going. The Spaniel, one of the few teams I've liaised with, one was a Spaniel and it just pissed off. I see another Springer that's pissed off. It's written by people like maybe a collie or something. The collie's like, I'll do anything you want for me. And it doesn't one size fits all. But like dog training is getting very like my way or the highway, and we'll do it all the same. Well, I'm sorry, we bred dogs for different jobs for the last billion years or whatever. Let's say 10,000 years. We bred them to do jobs specifically in a specific way, and it's not in the Spaniel's repertoire to go, oh, did you shoot the bird? There is a bird over there. I will go and get the bird. They go, let me get the bird. Let me get the bird. I'm going to get the bird. I'll get the bird. I've got the bird. I've got the bird. Like, they're moving dogs. They're like ready to go. They don't do going, oh, there is a bird. They don't ask us questions. They don't go, did you see that? They've gone. They've already gone. So yeah, it is difficult for you guys doing operational stuff in some of the assessments. But I've only seen some of the criteria just because I'm nosy more than anything. I'm just really nosy. And I like to know, because the operational teams are like, you're the guys are the creme de la creme. Like, I just wander around in bushes in Oswestry and cause trouble for the middle of town. Tonight we're going to trail in the park. Like, it's hardly life and death what I do. My biggest worry is the other day someone was stabbed in town, and did my clients within the area, are they all right? Were they upset? My worry is not, is there somebody actually missing? So it's a different world, and well, I've got knowledge. You guys know so much more than I do. I just cause trouble in Oswestry. Jason's put, when you have a dog who loses motivation from doing his inventory and we leave the inventory out, can we allow a dog to cast from the start with a handler stood still until the dog for the trail? Yeah. You've got 10 meters of line, as long as it's safe to do so. Let them work. Let them work. The dog's perfectly capable of working. This is not like a, you must take your inventory out fucking rant, guys. This is a, look at the dog. Look at the dog. If the dog doesn't need it, do you need to be doing it? If the dog works 100% efficiently the rest of the time without that step, brilliant. It's less fucking training to do. But yeah, we have the lead the inventory out, allow a dog to cast. Yeah. So practice casting starts with that dog. Teach it. Set up trails where the winds are coming in its face, so it's working to wind. Set trails where it's working with the wind. The wind's coming behind it. And the dog's got to go, God, I've got to really find the ground then. Hold on. Ooh. When I do mantra, I do lots of like starts. I reference casting starts, but I tend to call them displaced starts because casting start is its own exercise, and people get confused between control cast and casting start. If you want to know the difference, read the Cocker book. Cocker Method, How to Train a Police Bloodhound. Good book. So a displaced start is where they send articles not at the start of the trail. So the trail goes across here and starts there or something. The sent article will be like over here somewhere. It'd be usually within 10 meters of the start of the trail. Dog takes scent. Dog has to work to find the start of the trail. Because with sports dog, there is 99.9% of the time there is a trail, the dogs will work to it. The dogs will go, yeah, oh, well, you've given me a scent article. There's no immediate trail. Right, go find them. And NSI and no scent indication is an exercise where you practice there being no scent. With sports dogs, we practice it every now and then, but it's something we're never going to use because it's a sports thing. It's not an operational thing. Operational dogs, to the best of my knowledge, are 99% of the time starting with casting starts, display starts, where the dog, with a dog and a handler, don't know exactly where the person was last. Like, you're only going off information, and you are there to gather information to tell the teams, yes, if there's a person here, and no, if there's not a person here, which is why you're obviously being asked to have the dog to indicate if there's a trail. Well, when you're mantrailing and when you're working detection dogs, or when you're working security dogs, when you're working any dog in a job where it is there to work with people, you are interpreting that dog's behavior, and you are then going, yes, my dog's behavior tells me there's likelihood there's a trail here, let's trail. No, my dog's behavior tells me there's no trail here, let's not trail. Same with detection dogs. There is a high likely indication that my dog is showing interest in you because you may have come into contact with something it is trained to find. It does not mean there's a 100% chance that there is narcotics there, but the dog will show behavior that says there is a likelihood that that scent is here. That is what they're trained to do. They are trained to find narcotics if they're a narcotic detection dog. If you're a mantrailing dog, they're trained to find that specific person's scent. And they're going to give you the best answer they can give you at the time because they want to find a person to get the reward. That's what we've drummed into their head for X amount of years. So whether you do a scent inventory or you don't do a scent inventory, your dog will be able to tell you if there's a trail or not. Like, just the whole point is mantrailing is we're interpreting their body language. We become experts in reading our dogs. And then your instructor becomes an expert at reading about 50 dogs. So yeah, it's what it is. And whether you do something specifically or not, so my laptop's dying, should be a decision made on the benefit of your dog, not your own laziness. Oh, I'm not doing scent inventory, I can't be asked to do that. That is not an excuse. My dog really finds the scent inventory frustrating because when we do the circle and then we get the harness on and then we go and find the trail layer, by the time I get the harness on, the dog's bored shitless and wants to get back in the car. So we take it out, we bring out pre-harness, pre-line, dog comes up, hits deck, whatever. We come out, get the dog near the scent article, and as we're getting the scent article, getting dressed, ready to go, the dogs check the scent article out, they've gone, oh yeah, so-and-so I'm finding, okay. So like the true Cocker method, you do the scent inventory, you come in, you put the harness over the dog's head, you allow the dog to sniff the scent article. Well, the dog's had that first sniff, put the scent article on the ground, you then harness the dog up, get the line on, give him a second sniff. The whole purpose of that first sniff is allow the dog's opportunity to start going, okay, right, I knew there was a fresh trail. It's definitely this person. It's 100% this person. So they've had a sniff on the scent inventory. They've had a sniff getting ready, and then they've sniffed the scent article ready to go. Like, I can tell you now, Captains gets pissed off with that. But my Malinois Shepherd is like, oh, you want me to do a scent inventory? You'll be dismissed at school. Mrs. Alcohol again. Oh, thank you. I'll do it 15 fucking thousand times because all I want to do is please you. And I will get it perfect because I'm perfect, bloody spooky. And that's fine. She's not a spaniel. My spaniel's very different. My Labrador Mally's like that. She's very precise already. She's doing a bit of tracking and she's very precise. She's going to be a dog that's like, oh, let me check the scent article. That's her personality. That's fine. Like, that is up to her. But I worked a dog in front of me, but I'm not also being assessed. So it's very difficult. It's difficult. And while I might have opinions on some of the operational stuff, I everything I say is just personal opinion on bits and bobs I've seen. I have not had the privilege of working an operational dog or training operational dog or never even going on a search. And I won't be in the position to do anything with operational people for a long time because I have a small child and I can't go out and do those jobs. And I think it's really cool with people that do it. But yeah, any more questions, guys? Any more? I have waffled at you for 45 minutes. What more could you want? What can you do with a new puppy that might help them go mantrailing? I'm glad you asked. I've just started my puppy on mantrailing. So I've got a 16-week-old Malinois Cross Labrador because I'm thick, and I think she'll be a really cool mantrailing dog when she's done. She's just an attitude problem. She's 16 weeks going on 16 years at the moment. And new puppy, help my mantrailing. So I was literally speaking to Mentee about this the other day because she wants to do like a mini pup mantrailer. It's just what cute. So to get the puppies ready for it, practicing wearing a harness and line dragging, get them used to that weight because it's really odd for lots of puppies. And we spend a lot of time with puppies like the clear arsing around like a kite on a collar. Get them used to that harness pull and that pressure coming from behind and that they're okay to pull into it. It's not the end of the world. And practice with members of household. Have them in the garden, line dragging, and let them run from person to person. Then pick the line up and have a little bit of pressure on it and let them run from person to person. I know some organisations do what you call free training, let the puppies off lead and discover on their own. That's fine. That's up to them. It's not something I do personally. It's not something I encourage pet owners to do personally because that's when we have dangerous situations with pet owners. If you're not in a controlled, safe environment, please don't be letting your puppy off. That is a recipe for disaster because if something freaks it, it's going to run. Teaching your puppy to take food out of tubs or out of things you're going to reward it with, building that context really early is great. Going up to strangers, teach them that it's okay to go to people on like in certain contexts, not run at people all the time. And short and sweet. I don't really have tiny man-journey puppies on a normal session under 6 months. They can't sit in the car in between. They're too little. Their brain's dead after one trail. So anything under 6 months is a bit of fun, but you're not going to get shit tons out of the puppy because they're just babies. But yeah, get them used to equipment early, get them used to being rewarded early by people, and get them to use their nose, scatter feed their food in the garden if you want to do that kind of thing. Hide their toys. So, have somebody hold the puppy back on a harness line. Grab their toy. What have I got? And they go and put it in the plant pot. The dog's like, oh, you got rid of my toy. They run to the toy. They go and get it. They run to the toy, go and get it. Then put it where they're going to use their nose to get to it. So pretend to go to the plant pot they went to last time and then move a little bit further and put the toy behind something. Puppy goes, oh, plant pot. Whoa. Oh, toy's not here. Oh, my God. Where is my toy? I can't find my toy. Toy's creating a little scent plume. It's building up and up and up. And the puppy goes, oh, yeah, I found it, and works in. Teach your puppy to use their nose. We spend half our life on walks telling our dogs not to sniff. And while you can't teach a dog to stop using its nose, you can teach it to be better with its nose. Scent work is a really good start for lots of puppies, and so is tracking before doing mantrailing, because mantrailing is a lot of waiting around, lots of physical and mental stuff. Tracking, like putting little treats in footstep tracks or like little pots a meter apart, excellent. However you teach tracking, really good for little puppies. It's really good fun, and they have lots of motivation. But remember, attention span of a peanut. Like, you might get 5 minutes out of them, all good. You get 2 repetitions, that's it. Do not overdo it, puppy. Never. Puppy's tired, stop what you're doing and maybe put it down for a nap. Like 2 or 3 repetitions of everything max. If you've got more repetitions than that, it's not going in the head anyway. It's not going in the bank. They're knackered. I love puppies. So Kincaid does like a couple tracks a week, and then she does searching for a toy some mornings for like 2 minutes, and then we do lots of like holding her back and like throwing a bit of food, and she's got to go hunt for that little bit of food. All using her nose or building drive. She'll drive for days though, so I don't need too much drive with her. Super. Any more questions, guys? So I've gone through the questions I was sent, and hopefully you've learned something, solidified something, or you've decided that I'm not the instructor for you. That's fine. I want to put information. I want people to learn as much as they can about mantrailing. It's so new and it's still evolving massively. There's no one size fits all. It's really evolving, and whatever organisation you decide to trail with or way you try to trail, stick with the people you like and trail with them, and go from there. Got a question about Patreon? Go for it. I was about to plug it. Yeah, enjoy mantrailing. Like, it's supposed to be fun, and if you do operational stuff, obviously it's a little bit different. It's supposed to be fun, but there's an edge to it. But we primarily talk about sports dogs, and it is supposed to be fun with your dog. And so many people get so fucking hell bent on like taking over the world that they forget that it's really hard for these dogs. Like, I was chatting to a group the other night, did some theory work, and the studies that came out ages ago, ages ago, there's like it takes dogs up to 10 paces to hit the trail. So 10 human paces, roughly 10 meters, before they commit to the trail. So that's a lot of deciding time as well. Like, really work with your dogs. And let them do dog things. Want to check the session about air setting dogs. The assistant to this session was not available to buy in my country. Any thoughts on that? Drop me a message, drop me an email, and I will try and work out why Patreon's done that. I have no idea. Drop me an email, trailingcanines@gmail.com, and I'll see what I can do on the old Patreon. We'll plug the Patreon because it's me. All right, that's brilliant. I hope that comes up. So yeah, so what I offer alongside, I do lives on this. I do lives in a group called Talking Trailing on Facebook, which you can join, where I do once a month lives on talk about different subjects, mantrailing. I'm really all for mantrailing information being shared as widely as possible and as free as possible, but I still have bills to pay. So I do a Patreon. It's £10 a month, and Patreon is a platform where you can pledge money. You can cancel any time. You have absolutely you don't have to stay forever. You can stay for 1 month, watch the videos, and then sort off. You can buy the videos individually, and sorry, excuse me, you can basically every month I do a live video that's so I do a video so it's pre-recorded, followed by a live Q&A. Q&A is going to be changing because we're going to start moving the Q&As quarterly so we can build the questions. But the questions are on, you can ask any questions you want mantrailing. You have me to ask questions anytime you want through Patreon. Each month is a different subject. So this subject that's coming out actually next Tuesday, so it comes out the first Tuesday of the month, is on wind effects on the mantrailing dog and what the wind effect on a trail. So talk for about 45 minutes on that, followed by a Q&A about it. There's freebies in there, there's information in there. I will be adding in every month a video of a dog mantrailing and doing commentary on it and talking about how that dog's working, what I can see in the behaviour, negatives. I think there's lots and lots of information to be passed through videos, and having a commentary over them helps you start to dissect stuff that's going on. Because mantrailing is very, at the time, dog working, I find videos really useful and great as a way to kind of add more information to your bank. But yeah, Patreon's there, it's every month, and it's an opportunity to learn more about mantrailing from a sports perspective. I know there's operational people there, but my previous background is in operational dogs, yes, but things have moved on very fast since I was teaching those 5 or 6 years ago. So it's just a really cool place. There's lots of information there. So if you want to join, it's all the back catalogues there. There's like 50 odd hours of video, I think now, or something, and you can just listen to it while you're driving. It comes up with like a podcast as well, so you can listen to it while driving, which lots of people do. But yeah, if you've got any further questions, my email, just pop into the chat. Send me an email, send me a message on Facebook, whatever. I'll add the all social media bits at the bottom of this live after I finished it. But what, as you say, is thank you to everybody that joined live. I know it's middle of the day and it's not, most people are working, but thank you very much. I'm here if you need me, and I offer lots of help for people because I think information should be shared. I've always thought information should be shared, and if I learn something that can help somebody with a mantrailing, I'll absolutely share it with them as much as possible. Thank you very much, guys. And hopefully I will see you at an in-person workshop at some point this year, some of these guys. And if I don't, hopefully I'll see you over on Patreon. Thanks very much, guys.